If I'm thinking about giving, it's probably time started first rather than money. So when I just started working, I was asked to join an organisation called the Jewish Young Adult Forum as treasurer, and had no communal involvement whatsoever before then. Thrown in at the deep end, was doing it sort of in between work and everything else, and really everything grew from there. But it was that initial, quite a large investment of time that got my communal involvement going.
When we were little, we would get $10 of pocket money each week, and then we would have a tzedakah box, and my dad would make us put $1 in the tzedakah box, like for mice, so like the 10% you're meant to do. And then like at the end of like each month, I think it was, we had to, like me and my sister had to choose what charity we wanted to give out like $4 for to, essentially. So I think that was like really instilled in us from a really young age. We were like really little, that like each thing, all the money that you make, you have to sort of be portioning some of that to charity. So I think that was probably my first experience of like giving in that sense.
It's a huge part of it is Jewish communal advancement. So whether that's education, welfare, it's assisting underprivileged people in the Jewish community. So that's a huge part of our focus. We're also in a giving circle, though, as you know, with 8 other families, and there the brief is much wider, and our kids are very involved there as well.
So I feel like the values that drive me are probably like really trying to make a tangible impact on like young Jews and their relationship with their Judaism and sort of whatever space that they find that in. And I think like giving everyone, for me, it's a lot about like education and giving young Jews the education, like to then go and educate others and to be passionate about their Judaism. I feel like that's in my generation a bit of a struggle at the moment. So I think that's probably one of my core values.
Jewish community education. There's also, I suppose, an Australian piece and an Israeli piece. So we're also very, very involved with Israel, both the relationship between Australia and Israel, whether it's advocacy. So we support some of the big advocacy organisations here. We support teen travel to Israel in a very significant way, and just fostering all those sorts of connections between Australia and Israel.
Philanthropy shouldn't just be for like a very small elite few that feel like they can give and they only see like these massive numbers in the community. I think that philanthropy should be something that everyone can kind of feel like they have like a place. And I guess that kind of comes back to like the 10% and the $1 thing that I was taught when I was little, like every dollar counts rather than like it's just all. And I think our communities can't survive if there's only like a core group of families are the ones that are giving rather than the whole community giving to projects that mean to them in whatever capacity they have.
You know, certainly we try and be humble, which sounds like a bit of a cliche, but it means that actually listening to what people want, trying to understand the passions of the recipients, what they can and can't do, and then give accordingly, rather than just coming in, you know, top down and saying, I want to do X, Y, and Z and pushing people around. It's really listening to what the executives are looking for, how to best help them, and I suppose being very clear in expectations, you know, on both sides.
Understanding what my, like, I guess, philanthropic or giving strengths are and maybe what my weaknesses are, where I'm positioned to help and where I'm maybe not actually of any value, and like being able to apportion, I guess, my time and resources in a way that's the most, like, I guess, meaningful for me, but also the most beneficial for the organizations or people that I'm trying to sort of help.
There's an organisation that I'm sure you've heard of in Melbourne called Little Dreamers. So Maddie came to us very early on in the giving circle with an idea to sort of grow the organisation. She was working, you know, basically pro bono, had no salary there, was really struggling, and the giving circle basically gave her an initial donation for her to become the CEO, to work full time, and to really grow that organisation into now a multi-million-dollar organisation with dozens of staff, and to see her continue to grow. And something similar in Israel also, where there's an Amutah called Kedma that started very small with just one student village. I met the founder very early on, and she was just an amazing young woman, is an amazing young woman. And we helped her grow now into, I think they've got 18 student villages throughout the country, been there on the journey all the way through. And to be able to back someone who you can see has the talent, but you're never quite sure if they can make it all happen. And then when they do, with your financial support and some guidance, hopefully, it's enormously satisfying.
My family is big sort of supporters of teen trips to Israel. And I went on one with my school. And I think like I was able to be on a trip with all my friends who wouldn't have been necessarily able to go if my family and the other people who were supporting them hadn't put that time and effort and money into creating these programs. So I think that was a really incredible experience for me to see the very tangible impact on my peers that my family's giving had.
You know, my wife and I have talked about setting up a foundation for some time. So, there's family foundations that I look after both here and in Israel that I've been looking after now for over 20 years, which generate a lot of the philanthropy that, I've been talking about.
Hopefully I'll be married, maybe with a kid or maybe just one kid.
Baruch Hashem.
Please God, exactly. I guess like for me, it's a bit too, I think because my giving now is it's basically purely time based. I think that is something that I really gain a lot from. And I love being like on the ground and helping people and like helping organizations and running organizations in that way. So I would love to still be doing that in 10 years time.
For anyone watching that, there's no right or wrong. I think if you bring your passions and your expertise and obviously and your money to the table, and you do things in a really, thoughtful, considerate way, then it's all good.